And thank you for your patience, everyone. We're back here for game 2 of Pendulum Gaming versus HypE Esports here. I'm Random Minion Caster, and unfortunately, my colleague Adder Luna has had to leave. He's gone to go disinfect his eyes with bleach, and we'll be back for the evening game tonight. Game 1 here was an extremely long, grueling game between the two teams here. Neither team wanting to lose, and that just ended up being a very drawn-out game where they had problems closing out. Actually, really good team fighting here from both teams to try and swing the fight. Very messy fights as well, but ultimately Pendulum able to pull out the win there with their composition, with the sort of the late-game power of their team. Now into game 2, it's going to be HypE Esports on the blue side, and we do have a substitution. They had an E-sub for themselves, Jason KB playing ADC. He's now back out as they do manage to find one of their regular players, and it's going to be Epic Gamer in that top lane under a different account here. Ray just out 3 seconds. I'm just going to refer to him as Epic Gamer for the rest of this match here. But he's back in their top lane here. Nonstop still in their jungle. Tommy mid lane. And Ramilux moving from that top lane back to the ADC position. We've seen them play before. So hopefully will be a better game 2 here for the side of HypE as they get a regular member back as their starter. Pendulum, same lineup. And they're going to be on the red side here. So jumping straight into the picks and bans. HypE banning out the Diana, the Taric, Pyke, Yasuo, and Fizz, so they don't want to see that Taric again. Had a questionable efficacy last game, not one of Nerf Irrelevant's best showings here on the Taric, but was still effective, and we did see the Cosmic Radiance still being really important. If he did get it right, they won the team fight. If he didn't, then, well, things sometimes didn't end quite as well for them. Pendulum banning out the Xerath, Fiora, the Jarvan, Ziggs, and Orianna. So a lot of targets bans focus on Tommy Peppers once again here. A lot of his comfort picks there. Now HypE Esports gonna pick up the Ashe, Olaf, Braum, Kill, and Mordekaiser here. So that Olaf for Nonstop Brain, they're liking it. Even though they've changed their ADC, they still want that Ashe as well. And we saw Jason put out a bunch of damage. We've seen Ramilux play the Ashe as well. So hopefully Ramilux will not be as reluctant to pull the trigger on those Enchanted Crystal Arrows for the side of Pendulum Gaming here. They've got Vi, Nautilus, Caitlyn, Vel'Koz, and that's not a Malphite. That is actually an Annie here for themselves, and that actually sets up a very, very interesting composition here because they've got Vel'Koz and Annie here who could flex into the solo lanes. We'll have to see which one goes where. Now, in terms of composition, Pendulum has a lot of single target pick potential here with that Vi, the Annie, and the Vel'Koz as well. Their team fights are going to be a little iffier, but Snugglebot has shown himself to be able to position very well in team fights with this Caitlyn. Will not have the Taric to provide as much peel, but the Nautilus will still have a lot of peel available, as well as engage potential, and Snugglebot can just kite around. So Pendulum's composition not as strong in the team fights, but definitely can look to get a hit in the early, and I think that is what they will have to focus on here with that Vi pick, with the Annie pick as well. And for the side of HypE Esports, they've learned their lesson. They want the late game insurance here as they pick up the kill for themselves. Most likely going to go to Epic Gamer, and that means Tommy might be playing the Mordekaiser in the mid lane here against the Vel'Koz. Is a bit shorter range, but if he can get the pull onto the Vel'Koz, Tommy will be more than happy here in the lane, and they've got themselves that late game insurance. So HypE this time the one to look for the scaling. They don't have a lot of synergy either, though. Quite a mixed bag here with the kill at the Mordekaiser. Mordekaiser going to be able to take one person out, but that's going to leave everybody else exposed here, as they're just going to have the Braum alone for peel. Nonstop Brain going to want to dive into the back line a little bit. So very, very mixed bag coming up from both teams in the draft here. Personally, not a huge fan of either of their drafts, but we'll have to see how that goes in laning, because a lot of teams have been focusing on getting counter picks in lane instead, and that might just be what we see here. And speaking of the counter picks, we do see Annie in the top lane, Vel'Koz in the mid lane. So Tommy Pepper is going to have a nice lane against Yasuo only there with that Mordekaiser, as long as he can get the engages. If he can't get the engages, though, he can get poked out quite a bit. And in that top lane, the kill into Annie, Epic Gamer going to have a rough time in the early phase. KO not really a champion until about level 16 as well. Quite similar to the Kassadin situation. But Yeah, against an Annie, that's going to be risky, especially at level 6. I'm looking at the junglers here to make a difference in that top lane. Both very immobile top laners here, very vulnerable to ganks. And we did see Pendulum going in there. We'll drop a deep ward here just to be able to see what's going on and potentially try and figure out where Non-Stop Brain is starting, because they want to be able to track that, make sure their lanes are safe. This bot lane here, Snugglebutt and Irrelevant on the Caitlyn Nautilus. We've seen that a lot with the traps, the dredge line into the traps. If they get that off, they'll be able to do a lot of damage, but it's against a Braum who's extremely tanky early with the Unbreakable. So really could go either way there. It did go the way of Pendulum last game, and I'm kind of expecting it to see much the same in this game as well. So we'll have to see how that goes for now. And we do see here both junglers starting on that top side here, and no leash actually for Non-Stop Brain on the Olaf, which is fine. He does do more damage the lower the health he gets. It will mean that he will not likely be ganking anytime soon though. And Timic starting at that top side means that he's going to end up the bottom. And they did just buff Vine this last patch, has a shorter cooldown on that Vault Breaker, so we could potentially be seeing an early gank come out as well from Timic here. And it really, if he ganks mid or bot, it's quite good for his team either way here. Because if bot lane he gets them a lead, Snugglebutt and Irrelevant can play more aggressively, and if he gets Yasuo only that lead as well. Level 6, Vel'Koz can put out a surprising amount of damage, and Tommy Peppers taking that turret shot is going to get him extremely low. Can Yasuo only pick him up? No, he can't, because the flash will get Tommy Peppers to safety and back into his minions, so Yasuo only flashing back will not be able to find anything. Bot lane, never relevant, getting what looked like a dredge line, but not really going to be able to do much. They get a little bit of poke off, nothing meaningful here, and both teams back to a sort of balanced state here. Now, we do see Timic invading onto Non-Stop Brain, just walked past Non-Stop Brain actually, and Non-Stop Brain was extremely low, unfortunately not able to find any. And now we do see Non-Stop Brain trying to take the red buff. He's extremely low, able to heal up here, and Timic just half a screen away, not aware of it, will not be able to find him. In Non-Stop Brain with that smite gonna get himself to a healthier position. Is Timic gonna look for a gank here? The bot lane is being shoved under turret, so it looks like he's not going to even try, not feeling like they can burst hard enough here. Instead, they're going to meet here at the scuttle. Vault Breaker comes down, and that's a lot of damage. Non-Stop Brain going to give first blood over to Timic there in the 1v1 after that cat and mouse game where the two of them have been just dancing around a screen away for the last minute. Finally, Timic actually runs into Non-Stop Brain, gets the kill, and gets the lead for his team here. And that's not a good sign for the side of HypE Esports right now. They are the ones who want to scale into that late game. They do have an extremely weak top side for now, and Non-Stop Brain is one of the people they want to get snowballing with the Olaf here. Had a questionable efficacy last game on the Olaf. Really, Non-Stop Brain very passive in the early game. And that's not necessarily good when you want to let that Olaf scale up and become that mid-game monster. And now he's just going to be set further behind for now. And top lane, Tibbers Embrace and Epic Gamer just really not engaging onto each other here. It's a very non-interactive lane so far. Both are just wanting to farm up, but Epic Gamer will have to be careful at that level 6 now. Dredge line coming down, it's on to Pluck, gets smashed. He gets rooted up, but the Unbreakable comes out, and that's what I was talking about with that Braum. Negates a lot of that damage there. Vault Breaker into the mid lane from Timic. The knockup from Yasuo only will not land, but the damage there, the disintegrate or the passive here from Yasuo only, just popping Tommy Peppers, and that's going to be a second kill onto Timic. He's getting a very good early game here in game 2. Ramiluk's getting poked out a little bit, will get hit by the 90 caliber net, and that means Snugglebutt getting the lane dominance as expected from that Caitlyn, that lane bully there. Now Non-Stop Brain walking past the Scuttle ward there, will get spotted out, and he's going to run right into Nerf Irrelevant Snugglebutt. They get the damage done. Timic flashing in to steal that one with the Vault Breaker, or should I say, sorry, pardon me, secure, because Non-Stop Brain still had the flash, could potentially have gotten out there, but they do manage to get the kills, and that's Timic now 3-0 here. And they're going to start up the first dragon for themselves. It is that Mountain Drake, potentially one of the least impactful first Drakes here. But still, it is going to be good for them to start stacking those Drakes as early as they can. And there's no Herald on the other side of the map, so no answer now. Tibbers coming down, and Tibbers misses the Tibbers, it looked like. They didn't get the stun, didn't get the damage, and still has to be careful. Is out of mana now, so Epic just going to run him down. Try and kill him with autos here. Can he get the last one? He's diving the turret. Will use the intervention and get the kill, and now he has to survive. The revenge of Tibbers will be just fine, it looks like here. And that was a surprising kill, as Kill somehow getting the winning trade here against the Annie. And a very, very different early game here from what we saw in Game 1. Game 1 saw both Pendulum and HypE with very calculated gameplay here. They didn't pick a lot of pointless fights, not getting caught out a lot of it just revolving around objectives. But here in Game 2, we're seeing very, very different start with Timic able to find 3 kills early, just finding nonstop in the jungle, getting a good gank off in the mid lane as well, and top lane with Epic just somehow finding himself a kill as well in lane. The solo 1v1, not something we saw a lot of last game as well. So now this is shaping up to be a very, very different beast. Unfortunately, not shaping up to be beneficial for HypE. And HypE already down a game, so they do have to be careful here. They can't afford to keep making mistakes, or this could be a very, very short best of 3. Short for a given value, short considering game 1 was 40-something minutes. Timic running into non-stop brain once again, but this time will not be able to contest the Scuttle. Does have the level lead though, and looks like nothing going to come of that one here. Top lane, Epic Gamer pressing his leads here. Did go back by himself, boot, so able to chase down Tibbers. Just keep applying that damage, but has to be careful because Assault and Battery coming across. No intervention available this time, and Timic now 4-0. He's an absolute monster this game. Why have we not seen him play Vi more frequently this split? Now Flash coming up from Nerf Irrelevant. He will be able to launch a Dredge line on to Rami. Looks better, but the Unbreakable coming up from Fluff gets smashed to buy some time. The Flash coming from Snuggle, but will not secure the kill. Instead, they're just going to get a lot of damage, but I'm not sure burning both Flashes was necessarily worth it here when they couldn't quite find any kills. We'll have to see how it goes. Now Timic invading with impunity because he's a level plus up right now. Does steal over that blue buff as well. And that's going to set Nonstop Brain even further behind. It's a very, very rough game for him. And on that Olaf, things are only going to get worse. Ace in the Hole comes out, but with the Unbreakable, he takes almost 0 damage here. And just right now across the board here for Pendulum, they're doing fairly well for themselves, except for that top lane where Tibbers Embrace is getting a bit rough. And because he's losing that lane up top, it will be able to give Herald over to HypE Esports. So they're able to secure something at least to answer back onto Pendulum's stranglehold in the jungle right now. And they do give that Eye of the Herald actually over to Epic Gamer in that top lane, the Empowered Recall. But it does mean that the Herald's pretty much guaranteed to be in that top lane for now. And I am expecting to see a gank or pressure onto Tibbers. And as soon as Tibbers Embrace gets forced back, that's probably when we'll see the Herald drop here. For the side of Pendulum, they're just focusing on that bot side. We see Timic once more in that bot lane here. And that means that that's going to be a free Herald up top. And they're not even going to wait to bring Tibbers Embrace low. They're just going to start this one up right away. Just get the damage down. Tibbers Embrace missing the Tibbers yet again. The stun not going to be able to find Epic. And that's going to let him just free fire and try and take the huge oversized Bear Teemo monstrous hybrid down. And Shelly just going to get the 2 plates there in that top lane and nothing else much more. Timic finally going to that top lane to pay a visit, but it's too little too late because Epic Gamer was already forced back here. So will not be able to find anything up there. Instead, he's just going to try and grab the Scuttle. Maybe look for a gank onto Tommy Peppers, who is pushed up quite far right now. Has no vision either, but his wave, as if his spider senses were tingling, as soon as that wave goes down, he started backing off. He's going to roam downward instead. Walking past a ward will clear that one out. And bot lane, Rami Lux needing some help, is down about 20 CS already here. So really, Nonstop Brain has a lot of options of where to go to try and swing lanes, but with that losing lane there, and with him being so far behind, he might actually want to pay a visit to that top lane first. Now the disintegration ray coming out. Tommy Pepper is going to get taken low here. Not dead, but he does have to be careful because Vel'Koz is with the geometry able to put out a lot of poke in lane. Now Pendulum going to continue their focus here onto the Inferno Drake. Going to get quite a bit of damage down, and I don't think they can be contested here. The Dredge Line going to come across, and that's going to be a flash coming out of Rami Lux. The depth charge soon to follow, but a beautiful glacial fissure there to stop the engage for now, and that's just going to be the second Drake taken. Inferno Drake here for Pendulum, and they're going to enjoy this one quite a bit because they've got a ton of damage on their team here. The Annie, the Vel'Koz, the Caitlyn, all of them benefiting greatly, and Timic, when he's so far ahead, giving him the additional damage just means that people might pop that much faster here. But it seems like Timic has decided to slow down for now, has been focused on the jungle for the last little while. And that does give HypE a bit of breathing room here to try and claw their way back into this one, despite the rough start they're having. And Pendulum needs to continue pressuring though across the map because they are the ones to not skill into the late game very well here. Really only Snuggle, but on that Caitlyn is going to be a monster in the late game. Another thing to bring up is their lack of tanks as well. They've just really got the one true tank on Nerf Irrelevant there, and that's going to be a support which tends not to be quite as tanky as it might need to be. And now Timic looking for a gank in the top lane. Intervention is available for Epic Gamer. He's going to use it very, very proactively, flashing away as well. And Nonstop Brain has arrived. Look at the damage they managed to turn back. Tibbers once more not landing, and that's a huge problem, but it doesn't matter because the Annie Q will be able to land. They do find Nonstop Brain mid lane, the Death Realm. Yasuo being dragged in there is gonna return fire 1-for-1, and we do see Epic Gamer popping off, does find the kill onto Timic, and what was that? They just needed one more auto attack instead. Epic Gamer able to turn that around, get the 2-for-1 instead in that top lane, and HypE suddenly firing back, getting the bounty, and they're closing the lead hugely. Epic Gamer, with those 3 kills under his belt as well, is going to accelerate the pace of his scaling there. Normally, Kill not a champion to level 16, but he's definitely proving me wrong here, as he's actually the majority of the kills for the side of HypE Esports right now. Absolute monster in that top lane. And Nonstop Brain now only level 7, is the lowest level in the game, tied with the supports right now. He's had a really rough time of it so far, but Timic's starting to throw that lead a little bit, because giving the bounty over to Epic Gamer was about the worst person he could possibly do that to. Flash once again from Nerf Irrelevant. Another depth charge combination right away, and we see it's a repeat of a couple minutes ago, but this time the traps are coming out, and Rami Lux aggressively positioning up will end up dying as he walked past the defensive line of that Braum. Teleport coming down from Epic Gamer. They will be able to pick this one easy onto Nerf Irrelevant, but there's nothing else for them to take right now. Dragon is down. The minions were not pushing in that bot lane, and with that, that's going to buy Tibbers Embrace some time to catch up here in that top side. He's had a rough time of it, and will be more than happy to be able to get damage down. There are no more plates. We are past that mark, so unless they take this top lane turret, there's really no gold to be had here. Timic now sitting in this bush. There's no vision in here, and we do see the bait coming out. Assault and battery here. The damage is good. There's no intervention this time, and finally Tibbers Embrace lands the ultimate there. Tibbers finally getting to give that embrace to Epic Gamer, and that's going to be huge for him there, because that's a bonus bounty of 300 gold going back the way of Tibbers Embrace. They're going to be able to take the first turret here in the top lane. Pendulum once again getting themselves a lead right now. The only question is it going to be enough of a lead? What on earth was that dredge line? It looked like it hyperextended at the very last second there. It finds Fluff, gets smashed They get a bit of poke, but ultimately not a ton. That is the Braum they hooked instead. And that the bot lane actually for both teams right now has been one of the most solid, steady lanes here right now. Snugglebutt just constantly applying pressure. They haven't been able to find themselves a ton of kills, but they've been getting a lot of poke off, and now they're looking to get themselves a turret as well. That bot lane turret extremely low, about 200 health. Just 2 or 3 more autos here from Snugglebutt will be able to find their second turret of the game for Pendulum, and they need to pick up the pace here. We're at 16 minutes, and Epic Gamer having those 4 kills means that he's going to come online a lot sooner here. Rather than say 30 minutes, I'd say maybe about the 25-minute mark is when we're going to see HypE Esports really start popping off. They do find a turret, a beautiful dredge line. Going to force the flash out of Ramilux once again, and now Tibbers Embrace being dope under turret. He needs to turn this one. The intervention coming down, just buying a bit of time, but the Tibbers came out a little early. Will not get the damage, but they don't need the damage. Epic Gamer overextended is gonna die there. Now they're starting up the dragon here, looking for their third Drake of the game. Tommy Pepper's just boldly walking in on this one. They do have to be careful. Vault Breaker taking Timic away instead. He does want this one. And Nonstop Brain coming in the back line. It's down quite a few levels, and so Timic going to be able to win that smite fight quite easily there. Now we do see Timic going down to Tommy Peppers. Nonstop Brain diving in against 3 will not be enough because just the sheer damage. Ragnarok stops CC, but you can't stop death. And that's a triple kill for Yasuo only on the Vel'Koz. They said they needed to pick up the pace, and they did it here as they find... they did actually find an ace because Epic Gamer was still dead at that point in time. Is back up now, but they're gonna lose the dragon, gonna lose their last outer turret as well for that very scattered initiation. And HypE Esports there, that fight was incredibly disorganized. Tommy Pepper's just waiting in there 1v3. Fluff gets smashed arriving late, but I'm not sure they wanted to necessarily pull the trigger quite that early when the rest of the team wasn't with them. Nonstop Brain actually had to flash over that wall. There was no blast cone to take, and just couldn't quite find anything at all. He was too under leveled, and now they are looking for a kill up here on Epic Gamer. Epic Gamer flashing forward aggressively. I think he was looking for Snugglebutt potentially, but Snugglebutt wasn't that low on health that a kill could burst him down. Kill not the burstiest of champions here. That's going to be a free kill going over the way of Pendulum. Now, speaking of free kills, Tibbers Embrace walking up alone. Roifar does manage to get the Tibbers down. Will we will burst Rami Lux? So, not having much luck with Epic Gamer, but still, somehow, despite getting collapsed on by 3, he managed to get a kill and walk away as well. That's good for him. Does have to be careful though, because now he's walking into Tommy Peppers. The Nether Realm not quite available yet, and Timic going to be able to pick this one up, and everything coming up Pendulum's way right now. And Tibbers Embrace really bouncing back from that dicey early game he had, where he just seemed not able to land the ultimate. But in these team fights, he's been able to land, so it looks like he just needed more targets there, and now that there are enough targets, he's becoming a bit of a problem. He caught up 4-2-2 right now against Epic Gamer. And we take a quick look at the gold leads, because there's about a 6,000 gold lead here right now for Pendulum. In the top lane, he is still down about 1,000 gold, but in the jungle, look at that difference right now. It's almost, what is that, 2,500, almost 3,000 gold difference. Timic has been making moves. He's 6-2-3, the most fed member of his team in the mid lane. Yasuo only was able to find himself a bit of a lead as well, 1,000 gold, especially in that last fight where he picked up the triple kill. In the bot lane though, Ramilux just slowly being strangled out by Snugglebutt here is down about 2,000 gold. And it's showing in these fights that Snugglebutt able to find a lot of advantages. And now in that top lane, when the Tibbers lands, we can see how powerful it is, because Tibbers Embrace able to win the 1v1, and that turret contributed absolutely nothing as intervention nullified the bulk of the damage there. So that top lane now, that was what I was expecting to see in lane a little bit more. Epic Gamer able to take at least a turret down. That will be the first turret here for the side of HypE Esports. And Pendulum now in the driver's seat. This is where they need to be in the mid game right now, up about the 5,000 gold lead right now, taking all the outer turrets down. They need to start looking for advantages. looking to see where they can sort of find some turrets as well, because ultimately it's not kills that wins games, it's structures, namely that big one at the end of the map called the Nexus here. Instead, they're setting up for Dragon, it looks like, about a minute and a half in advance. They're not going to be able to find anything really now. Tibbers and Brace getting spotted out by the hawk shot. Fluff gets smashed, looking to take him down, and Ramilux has to be careful. Can she be safe here? The Ashe will survive because the exhaust came down from Fluff, gets smashed, and that's exactly what they needed. But it's going to be Epic Gamer securing that one, and he's going to continue that scaling up. Has the Wit's End as well as the Hextech Gunblade completed in that top lane. Surprisingly, we're not seeing the Nash's Tooth, and actually they're going to start at the Baron, interestingly enough. Fluff gets smashed, might give a bit of vision if he's not careful here. A lot of damage coming out. The Glacial Fissure coming across, buying some time, and now Tommy Pepper's dragging Snugglebutt into the death realm is huge for this fight because the damage is not available. Nerf Irrelevant going to go down, but non-stop raid getting popped once again by Timic. Epic Gamer, though, is here and alive, and he can act as an ADC. Even though Ramilux is dead, they continue to have damage, and they managed to win this fight 4-3, pardon me, in what is one of the first massive team fights we're seeing here between the two teams. What an odd turn of events. You'd have thought that the advantage for team fights would have gone the way of Pendulum, because, I mean, they do have the Tibbers, they have the Vel'Koz as well. But Tommy Peppers with a beautiful death realm to isolate Snugglebutt instantly means that a lot of the damage, the sustained damage, is missing from them. And once they can pop down Tibbers and Brace, once they can pop down Yasuo only, there's really no damage left. Now Tibbers and Brace going once more on to Epic Gamer. We see intervention coming out. Tommy Peppers is there to get him out of a dicey situation, so they should be just fine there. And now we do see what's shaping up to be a 3v3, and it's going to be Ramilux getting the damage down in the backline. Assault and Battery comes across. Can they find Epic Gamer? No, they can't! They couldn't quite get Epic Gamer down in time, and now Epic Gamer just running amok. That's a 3-for-0 there. What is Pendulum doing? They're throwing that huge lead they had, as now the Dragon is going to get picked up by HypE Esports. It's the Ocean Drake for themselves. Not necessarily the most meaningful of Drakes at this point, but if they end up stacking 4 and getting the soul, it could be absolutely huge for them. And Non-Stop Brain finally able to secure this first Drake here of Game 2. And I feel like we've been saying this all series so far, and the question is, what is Pendulum doing? Pendulum constantly with their leads, struggling to close out their games, and that is not a good sign for them, especially in Game 2 here, because if they can't close out their leads, they're gonna let the kill scale up, and we've already seen how much damage Epic Gamer can put down in these fights. Is already level 14, now has the Gwinsu's Rage Bait completed as well, so is able to do a ton of damage to skill up in these fights. The aggressive flash forward, and he managed to find Snugglebutt. Snugglebutt got out of position. The Glacial Fissure will interrupt the Vault Breaker from Timic and isolate Nerf Irrelevant, and that's a double kill now for Epic Gamer in the top lane. They tried to start at the Baron earlier, it didn't work for them, but they could very well do it now. Timic still has the level advantage though, could potentially look to get that Baron steal, and this is HypE Esports. They're the team which struggled to secure any objectives last series against Rory Yodels last week, so we'll have to be extremely careful here. But the damage comes down, they get the pop. That's Timic going down to Epic Gamer, and that's going to be an easy Baron take secure here for HypE Esports. And for the first time this game in a very, very long time, they're the ones in the driver's seat with the gold lead, with the Baron buff, and with the better skilling comp as well. And they're going to push in. There's a lot of standing gold for them here. All these outer turrets here, it's just free standing gold. They take the first outer turret, the mid lane one. The bot lane's still available, but instead they're looking to just push in the mid lane here for that inner turret, because Timic is still dead. But instead they're not going to push their luck too far here. They've got a lot of gold to spend. 10, 5, and 4 on Epic Gamer right now, and he's going to buy the components here for that, for the... Oh, pardon me, I blanked out on the name. The Stinger transitions to Nash's Tooth, pardon me. That's the item I was thinking of here for himself. And Pendulum now have to be careful. Ramilux catching up in gold as well. Has completed the Blade of the Rune King and Runan's Hurricane, which is the core of that Ashe build. So we can see Ramilux coming online a lot more, and what I'm hoping to see from the Ashe, and unfortunately I haven't seen it thus far, is the proactive use of those enchanted crystal arrows as well. Now that they are in the lead, they can look to start a lot of these fights on their terms, and we're starting to see how squishy the side of Pendulum Gaming really is. Timic opted to go damage by because he was so far ahead, and that's costing him now in the end game as we see Epic Gamer just absolutely shred through all the squishies here. You can't stop the fire wave, the exalted waves of a kill that easily here. Only Nerf Irrelevant going to be the tank, and we do see Tibbers and Brace flashing forward, but he misses the Tibbers once again, and this is going to cost his team so much. That was a critical ultimate they need for these team fights. Instead, Epic Gamer just going to whack back and heal up with that Omnivore passive on the Gunblade. Bot lane, we saw Rami, Lux, and Fluff get smashed, pick up the bot lane outer turret as well, and now Pendulum getting split, getting pulled between teams. The trap line here, not going to be able to stop them with no one to follow up, and that's going to be inner mid turret going down immediately. Timic waiting on the side, Vault Breaker just to get himself to safety, but he's going to take a lot of damage, instantly get melted. Epic Gamer godlike, just 4 autos there, and with that auto attack speed, it's absolutely dangerous. Now the pull comes in, but intervention buying some time, nullifying the bulk of the damage, will ultimately go down to Snugglebutt there, and Snugglebutt able to pick up that 700 gold bounty. It is going to be massive for him because Snugglebutt is the comeback, the win condition here for Pendulum. And that's going to slow things down for now. We do see, however, Nonstop Brain opting to split push in that top side. We'll be able to pick up yet another inner turret. So that's 4 turrets down so far on this Baron play from HypE Esports. They might have given over a bounty. They might not be able to crack the base, but that's still a lot of gold. And we can see that lead. They were down a couple of thousand. Now they're up 2.5, almost 3,000 for themselves here. And Nasher's Tooth now completed onto Epic Gamer. He's almost full build, 5 items right now. If you thought he was absolutely shredding before, he's going to be able to shred even better now. The only issue is, can he stay alive in these fights? We saw how much CC that can get put down on him by Nerf Irrelevant, as well as Tibbers and Brace and Yasuo only. So if he gets CC locked, he will go down. On the other hand, though, Tommy Peppers was not available in that last fight to get the Death Realm off. He does manage to isolate Snuggle, but really Pendulum has nothing aside from that single target person. While the focus right now is on Epic Gamer, Rami Lux 2, 4, and 9 can output a lot of damage in these fights. And Epic Gamer somehow finds himself behind enemy lines as he teleports deep in there. He gets the Instaburst onto Timic as well. The intervention keeping him alive for now. He's going to turn around. They get Snuggle, but in the Death Realm, Nerf Irrelevant getting shredded as well. The heal's keeping him alive. Yasuo only will have to flash his way to safety there. And Tibbers and Brace and Yasuo only the only ones left alive. But they can't stop anything by themselves. Thankfully for them, there is the Ocean Drake, and that is what HypE Esports is looking for instead here. Epic Gamer going to push in the mid lane, shove in this wave, but because his damage is primarily AP, he's taking quite a bit of time to try and take this mid lane inhibitor turret down. Will not be able to find it on this push. But the rest of his team, or what's left of it, is going to push up that bot side as well. All 4 members looking to push it and get that last inner turret. Get themselves the freestanding gold here. And actually, Epic Gamer able to take this inhibitor in the mid lane. They left it. They abandoned it. I'm not sure where they went to. Yasuo only and Irrelevant taking a scenic tour of their bot lane. They didn't even get to the inner turret as well. And that's going to be one of the base turrets cracked. That's going to be huge for the side of HypE Esports because they were struggling now with Salt and Battery coming down. The flash from Epic Gamer just buying a bit of time. The intervention as well. A weird interaction as it looks like when he's intervention, the Dredge line will not pull him in. And instead we finally see Epic Gamer go down once again. 550 gold bounty, this time to Epic, this time to Tibbers and Brace, pardon me, and Snugglebutt has to be careful. He's extremely low already. We do see Nonstop Brain getting burst down. That seems to be the story of his life in this series here. Fluff gets smashed, just barely able to flash out to safety. The Stow comes down, and they manage to disengage here. Only just losing the 2 Epic Gamer and Nonstop Brain. And as much as I've been saying, what on earth is Pendulum Gaming doing? I have to question now, what on earth is Epic Gamer doing? He was just on his own split pushing. He is too squishy to be doing that. Can get CC locked. And CC lock is the name of the game for Pendulum here. Once again, we're looking at a 30-plus minute game in this series here. Pendulum and HypE. As much as we've criticized Pendulum for having difficulty closing out games, HypE seems to be the same here. They are throwing a little bit, especially Epic Gamer as he gets ahead here. And they can't afford to let Epic Gamer keep throwing like that. He is more than 50% of the team's kills here. And in terms of gold, he is also a substantial chunk of the team's gold. 16,500 gold right now. He's way ahead of anybody else. And in fact, if you look across the mid lane and the jungle, for the side of HypE Esports is actually down in terms of gold compared to their lane opponents. Actually, the ADC as well. So everybody else down gold except for support for the side of HypE Esports. So anytime you see Epic Gamer down, that means that HypE Esports is going to lose that next fight. And speaking of fights, a fight breaking out right now. Club gets smashed, getting absolutely melted here in Snuggle, but this time not getting Death Realm, is able to put out the damage, will be able to find non-stop brain once again. Epic Gamer in that backline, going to get CC to death, and it looks like Pendulum might be able to win this one here. No, they cannot, because Snugglebutt's already dead. Timic looking for Romulux, but Romulux able to turn the tides. Now Tommy Pepper's just hunting Tiber's Embrace here. Will be able to get out. That's going to be a 3-for-4 and yet another super chaotic fight. And in these fights, you can't tell what's even happening here. Looked like it was initiated by Tiber's Embrace with a 3-man Tibbers, it looked like. But then after that, everything just went to hell as the fight started splitting in the oddest of ways. Nonstop Brain diving that backline, but he's so far behind right now. 1-7-8 on this Olaf that he couldn't really find anything. That being said, HypE will be able to pick up that inhibitor in the mid lane. With supers pushing in, it should be much easier now for the side of HypE Esports. We saw how much work super minions do back in game 1 when they almost single-handedly ended the game when Pendulum couldn't. Once again, we see HypE going back to that Baron. This is the win condition they've identified themselves. They are looking like they're going to be able to shred this one down. This time, the entirety of Pendulum not quite grouped together. They don't want to fight this unless they're grouped up. And we do see the Baron now going down for HypE Esports. So with Baron, with super minions, hopefully they will be able to end this one out. That being said, Dragon is coming up in 1 minute, and given the focus that HypE has had, they might actually opt to go for that Dragon instead. We do see both teams actually setting up for this Dragon a little bit. Actually, it's just more Pendulum Gaming. HypE Esports is pushing top. They've sent Braum, the support, one of the slowest pushers, to back up Epic Gamer there. I think they're just trying to keep Epic alive because he is their win condition right now. Romulux is their secondary backup here. And we did see Romulux putting out a lot of damage in that last fight, actually, with that Blade of the Ruined King. And now Pendulum. Here we go. Here's the mantra. What are you doing? Your base is getting pushed into by super minions and a very, very fed Kale and Ashe soon to follow. Instead, they're still sitting around the Dragon buff here. Now we do see Snugglebutt going back to base alongside Never Relevant, but I'm not sure that's going to be enough here. They've sent the bot lane. They do manage to get themselves the Ocean Soul finally, but is it worth it? Because they've lost the top lane inhibitor. They've lost both their Nexus turrets shortly here. Now their Nexus is going to be open and exposed, and they've got 2 auto attackers. They can just shred this. Neverone diving in to just try and buy time. Disintegration raking across the team, but doesn't hit Romulux. It doesn't hit Epic Gamer, and it doesn't matter because the Nexus, like I said, is the most important things. Kills don't matter, souls don't matter, burns don't matter. The Nexus is what is important here. Everything else is just a tool, and HypE Esports correctly identifying that. Finally pulling the trigger at 33, just shy of 34 minutes here. And they find themselves a game firing back. And ladies and gents, we will see a game 3 here in this best of 3 between HypE Esports and Pendulum Gaming. And I want to say what a throw from Pendulum, but HypE Esports just, you know, they did so much work as well in that game to bring themselves back in from what was looking like a deficit. Shout out especially to Epic Gamer. They're ending that game 14-8-7 on that kill. He also threw quite a bit towards the end, but ultimately it looks like his carry potential was stronger than his throw potential as they do manage to pull out the win there. And if you are Pendulum Gaming, like Luna said, you need to fix your mechanical problems because this game again came down to, well, more than mechanical, I guess it's more macro and shot calling. They had really questionable decision making for the side of Pendulum Gaming. They need to fix that if they want to be able to win game 3. Timic in the early game was an absolute monster, but At the end of the game, he was a monster in a different sense of the word, as he just kind of retreated under the bed and just did nothing when the lights came on. So definitely an issue for them. Maybe give him something that will scale a little bit better into the late game. And for the love of all that's coalition, Tibbers Embrace, give him something besides Annie. Maybe not a point and click ultimate, because I think he whiffed about half of them in this game here, and that's really, really rough to try and play through. So I think put Tibbers Embrace on a different champion, something with a bit of an easier engage to less dicey here, because when he did land the Tibbers, it was huge, but the issue is when he landed it, if he landed it, and that is a massive problem here. And for the side of HypE Esports, I don't think Olaf is the champion to put non-stop brain on. He struggled with it for 2 games so far, so maybe put him on something a bit tankier with also a bit of an easier engage. And I think it will come down to the junglers in game 3 here, as we see who is going to walk away with the series, because we're here with a game 3. And with that, we are going to hit some intermission break while we set up for game 3. We'll see you all in a couple minutes.